Welcome to Mr. Hennessy's Algebra 1 class. Today is St. Patrick's Day, so I hope you're wearing green so you don't get pinched.
I'm wearing green, yay!
Good job, Peppa. Peppa is not going to get pinched today. All right, so we are going to learn about quadratic functions. My assistant today, our cameraman, is Luke Heidemann, that is. And he's going to do an awesome job here so that you can see it. At any time during the video, you can pause. If you want to write something down, you can do that. I'm just going to go right through, but you have the pause button. Okay, today we're going to learn about quadratic functions. The standard form for quadratic functions is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So in an example, underneath, I wrote y equals 3x squared minus 4x plus 5. That means that 3 would be the a, negative 4 would be your b, and 5 would be your c. So I think we've done that before, and that should be pretty simple. Other thing that we're going to do with quadratic functions is we're going to graph them. And we're going to graph them by always using negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2 for the x values. So in the book, when they ask you to graph, this is what I want you to do. If you don't have graph paper, it's okay. Just do it like I'm doing it on the whiteboard. If you do have graph paper, it'll be easier for you. But that is up to you. All right, so let's go ahead and find out what the y value is going to be for each of these 5 different x values. If we take negative 2 and put it here, I would do negative 2 times negative 2, which is 4. Then I would add 2 times negative 2 would be negative 4, and then you'd have to do the minus 1. Now this, you can do this in your head, but you have to be very careful because a lot of people make mistakes when they do this part. Right, Luke? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so 4 plus negative 4 is 0, minus 1 is negative 1. And so a negative 1 would go here. I'm going to do the rest of these mental math, but it's up to you whether you want to write them down or do mental math. Negative 1 squared is 1. 1 plus negative 2 is negative 1. Negative 1 minus 1 would give us negative 2. If we put 0 in here, we'd get 0 plus 0 minus 1. So we get negative 1 again. If we put 1 in here, 1 squared is 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 minus 1 is 2. If we put 2 in here, 2 squared is 4. 4 plus 4 is 8 minus 1 is 7. Now this is quite different than what we've done before because it doesn't seem to be following a pattern. In fact, there's 2 negative 1s, which drives a lot of people crazy. So let's go ahead and graph these points. Negative 2, negative 1, negative 1, negative 2, 0, and negative 1, over 1, up 2, and then over 2, up 7 goes right off my graph. And if that happens, that's okay. That'll happen quite a bit. Now, what's happening with this parabola is that I've got this part of it here, but this half of it, there's only one of them. And so if this was me, what I would do is add a negative 3 down here, plug it in up here. That would give me 9 plus negative 6 is 3, minus 1 is 2. So negative 3, 2 would be on here, and that way I can kind of tell where my parabola goes a little better. Parabolas will always be a curve like this, going up or down. The reason that you know that it's a quadratic function is because it's going to have an x squared in it. If it has an x squared in it, you can be guaranteed that it's going to be a quadratic function, which is going to guarantee that it's going to look something like this when you graph it. Okay, now let's go to a couple other things. Let's say that in the book, they're going to give you a graph ahead of time. And let's say they give you a parabola like this. Well, the first thing I want you to know is this is called the vertex, because that's where the parabola turns. The second thing is, because this is a frown face, do you see this is a frown face? Then it's going to have something. This is not exactly the right one for this, but do you see this negative here? Whenever you see a negative, right where the A goes, that means it's going to be a frown face. It's going to be upside down. It means Peppa is having a bad day. Now, the vertex, since this is on top, is also called a maximum. Or we just call it max for short. Okay? And so the max in this case would be 0, 2, because that is the highest point or the maximum point that the parabola goes. So that's that part. The other part they're going to ask you for is the domain and the range. Now we've done these before. Domain is how far it goes to the right and to the left. I'm going to change this a little bit so it goes right through there. Domain would be how far it goes from here to here. Now this parabola actually spreads out forever and ever. So the domain for parabolas is always reals. It never changes. So that is like super easy part. The range is going to change. The range is up and down. Well, the highest point is right here. The lowest point, well, it goes forever down. And so the range would be y is less than or equal to 2. The range is going to change every time. Okay, so a couple things. This is a sad face, and so he has a negative right here. Domain is always reals. The range, you have to actually look at your parabola to do that. So let's look at a little different parabola. And let's say that this parabola went like this. Okay, well this would be its lowest point, and so that would be called the minimum, which we call min for short. It's also called the vertex. So the minimum would be, if I put that point in, would be -2 and down 1, 2, 3, 4. So actually the minimum is 4. That's what they want to know. All right, domain is going to be reals again. I told you that's easy. The range, in this case, you're going to start with, it starts at -4 and it goes up. So you would say y is greater than or equal to -4, and that would be your range. The last thing I want to say is because this one's a smiley face and it goes up, it's going to have something like y equals x squared plus 5x plus 1, and that's because this is positive. So if this is positive, it's a smiley face. If it's negative, it's a frown face. This is a Peppa on a good day. And I think I shall leave this one blank because I've covered what I want to cover. So you guys on your homework, thanks for you guys that got it done and gave it to me and turned it in. I will make a check mark and give you credit for it. You guys, the rest of you have till noon to get it in. Luke already has his in. He had to go back and check a few answers, and I want you guys to do that. Check answers and make sure that you're doing it correctly. You too, Peppa. All right, and you guys have a good day, and I'll see you tomorrow.